Okay.
All right. Welcome back to Smooches and Stabs. After a long sabbatical over the summer, we had a lot happen. So, this is Jamie Joe Wright and Pepper Basham back together to relaunch our podcast.
It was a pretty good start, though, I have to say.
It
I
was.
mean, we started off with a bang, so I'm
We
looking
did.
forward to seeing where we're going to go from here.
It was good because we had Edgar Allan Poe, which of course is my favorite, and Jane Austen, which is yours.
Hmm.
So that was a great way. So anybody who hasn't heard those two episodes, then we had some of our own personal tragedies happen, which sort of put a damper on our creative
Sort of. Yeah.
energies for the summer. But I think we're getting back into things.
I think, yes, it's been a slow. We were just talking before we started recording. We were just talking about how it's interesting logically to know all the right things to think and believe, and how still it's this sluggish sort of start back into trying to write stories and get back into a schedule and just go back into quote life when there's
Right,
always going to be this piece that's missing in
right.
it. And it's surprising for me because I mean 10 years ago I lost my grandmother, who was one of my closest friends, but
Oh yeah,
this has been even just, I guess, closer, deeper. Yeah. So it's that slow sort of moving.
right.
We're moving forward, but we're moving through mud to get back forward, but it's still forward. So that's a good thing.
Exactly, exactly. And for those who are joining us who don't know exactly what happened, we do have an episode prior to this where we talk about our circumstances. But Pepper lost her brother earlier this spring, and I lost my mom,
Mhm.
and they were both within the same week.
Yes.
And so we've really kind of traversed this journey of loss and unknowns and grief and everything together, and sort of took some time this summer to just chillax, and now we are
Grief
back.
and grieve and
And
grieve. I mean,
grieve.
we're going
Yeah.
to continue to grieve, but the
Oh
the
yeah.
the initial acuteness
Yes.
of the grief took took some took some steam away, and
Oh
so
yeah.
now we're trying to, you know, it's the residual grief, which is going to be there forever, right,
Right.
until
Right.
heaven. And so, moving forward, that's where we are, and we're
Exactly.
really great. I mean, I tell you, one before we get into our mystery for today,
Yeah.
I tell you that it's been such a blessing to not walk it. Not that we were walking alone, because we both are Christians and we both have a mindset of having God near us, but having another person who can speak truth to you in a
Right.
time where your heart really is wounded, and not wounded to the point of where you're going to lose your faith or anything,
Yeah.
but just in the need of knowing, okay, you're walking this with me. You
Mm-hmm.
know how I'm feeling. You're saying
Mm-hmm.
things that I need to hear, even though I may not be feeling them right now. I need to hear
Right.
them. And that
Right.
truth is so, it's vital and it's comforting. And it's like the God fingerprints in the moment, where you can't feel God's hug, but you can feel it by using, you for me and me
Right.
for you. So that was
Exactly.
really a sweet way God used Christian friends,
Yeah.
in that
Yeah,
time.
for sure, for sure. And it's definitely been a summer full of support and all kinds of people reaching out. And people are still reaching out today.
Yes.
And honestly, the struggles are still real, because if you are watching this on YouTube, you'll see behind me, my office is completely torn apart. And that is because I have a dead mouse somewhere.
Actually, she was trying to protect herself. That's
I
what I keep
was.
saying.
I
She should
was.
have
It was
said,
it was an intruder,
yeah,
and I had to go full force ninja
dead
on
mouse
him.
really. Dead mouse really does not fit your genre, Jamie.
I know, but a mummified mouse, I still want to find it. It's annoying, although it smells better down here. So I think I can probably put my furniture back here in a little bit. But anyway, so what are we talking about today, Pepper, on our next foray into how we would change history?
Yeah, so curiously, we really okay, so you guys know, we don't plan a lot before we start these
Oh,
things. So if it gets bizarre, that's just the way we go. I
uh-huh.
mean,
This
so
is not
get prepared.
scripted.
Right, we don't
It's not.
script it. So our interesting question today is, what happens to these children who disappear from history? These famous
Mm-hmm.
children,
Mm-hmm.
mostly daughters who just
Right.
all of a sudden disappear from history. And we're going to talk about two specific accounts of that in history. So, one of them happens to be Albert Einstein's daughter. He had a daughter with his girlfriend. I think her name is Mileva.
Okay.
And the daughter was born in 1902. And because Einstein at the time was dirt poor and couldn't afford a child, they separated, but he knew he had a daughter. But the daughter's name disappears from letters in 1903, and no one knows what happened to the child. There's no mention if she died, there's no mention if she was given to a family member. She just kind of disappears
Mm-hmm.
in 1903 from all letters. So while I was reading that, and then something else pops up, and I'm kind of like, oh, how weird. So this little girl, the little baby for Einstein disappeared around a little after 1 year old. Okay, no more in
Okay.
any letters.
Okay.
So then we have even further back in history, we have Catherine Parr, who was the last wife of the renowned King Henry VIII, which
Oh,
everyone loves and
yay.
adores. And
Her dreams came true.
yes, yes, he definitely wanted to be loved and adored,
That's a
clearly.
twist on
And
romance right
that's
there.
right. Woo, not my kind I want to
Oh,
write.
nasty, smarmy. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so that's a different story, though. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting how his whole personality changed after he had a head injury. But anyway, so so
All
yeah.
right.
So anyway, Catherine Parr, who was advanced in age anyway, whenever she married, for that time period when she married King Henry
Mm-hmm.
VIII, had been in love with Thomas Seymour before that, but King Henry VIII said, "Nope, you're going to be my wife," and so she had to marry him. Of course, you do what the king says,
Right.
and we see what happens previously with other wives when you don't, and so
Go ahead.
anyway, throughout these marriages, I mean, when King Henry VIII died, Catherine was still alive. So
Uh-huh.
then she went and married the guy she'd been in love with, Thomas Seymour. And throughout all this time, Catherine had never been able to get pregnant, so she didn't think she was going to be able to have any children. And
Okay.
all of a sudden, boom, she's pregnant with a
Ta-da!
baby by her husband, Thomas Seymour. The
Okay.
baby's born. Her name is Mary Seymour.
I like
And
that name.
I know, it's very pretty.
It is.
And then all of a sudden, 6 days after, Catherine passes away from what they would have called a childbed fever at the time.
Oh.
Um, the baby is, of course, given to the husband, Thomas Seymour, who is unfortunately in some kind of bad trouble because 6 months later he's killed for treason. And so
Well,
there's
I
this
mean,
little
there's probably multiple reasons. Stole the queen, but whatever.
yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just I don't think I would have wanted to be in the royal family just of that
Your
time
life
period.
expectancy had nothing to do with physical health at all.
Well, for women maybe with childbirth,
Childbirth is
but
the only out
yeah,
there. Otherwise,
right? Beheadings. But anyway,
hanging.
so right. So there's this little baby, Mary Seymour,
Okay.
who first goes to live with her uncle, Thomas Seymour's brother, for the first 6 months of her life, and then after that, she's sent to live with Catherine Parr's close friend. Now, there's reference to her in letters for about 2 years.
Okay.
Then she disappears from all the letters, and there's nothing to say what happened to her.
Mm.
It is assumed she died, just like Einstein's baby girl died.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there is a family in England who have oral history of being direct descendants from Mary Seymour, who had changed her name and married a pretty regular guy and have a family and descendants. So I don't know. Nobody knows for sure what happened because they disappeared in history. And so, my question to you, Jamie, is I wonder if there's a pattern of little girls before the age of 5 disappearing, famous little girls disappearing from history. And why do they disappear? And we don't know any trace of what happened to them. I have theories.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, come on.
Can you not hear me?
My speakers just gave out.
Oh, not so good. Jamie. it's because I'm talking about this theory, this possible baby nappings, baby disappearances.
Oh, there we go. You're back.
I'm back. Yay.
Sorry about that. It's my Canadian sorry.
It's sorry. And it's because I'm losing. It's because we're talking about disappearing babies, and all of a sudden I'm disappearing from your
Well,
speakers.
thus begins my alien theory.
Oh my goodness. Alien. Okay, I want to hear the alien theory because I have a theory of my own, and mine's weird too. So let's go. Go for it.
Okay, so the alien theory is simply this. These young girls were taken, okay? They were taken by the aliens, and then they were later on dropped into modern times and became the first psychopathic female serial killer.
No.
Because the aliens did testing and experimentation on these poor girls, and by the time they were dropped back to Earth.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's I'm crossing.
Mine's better. Mine is so better. Mine is bizarre but better.
Out of the gothic into sci-fi. I'll stop.
Oh, you just like to kill people. Why?
Well, I just got to thinking about aliens because my headphones were static.
Oh,
Made me think of aliens invasions, and
I think maybe it's a government conspiracy.
I do want to say though, well, let's not go there.
Remember, government. We are full of conspiracy theories in history.
So, I have a letter. Did you see the letter that Katrin, they call her Katrin, wrote to Thomas about their daughter?
Which one?
I don't know. It's really hard to understand. I gow yo little now yo blessing. Like an honest man stirred a pass after.
Hey, come on. They give an interpretation.
Bang a bed with me and had laid her hand upon my belly. It's got some kind of Celtic something to its spelling.
It's Old English.
Oh gosh, I'm bad at it. It actually goes. They've interpreted it into modern. That's Old English?
Yes.
There's no vowels in half the words.
It's very Old English, yes.
Okay. It goes, I gave your little knave your blessing, who like an honest man stirred apace after and before, for Mary Odell, being abed with me, had laid her hand upon my belly to feel it stir. It hath stirred these 3 days every morning and evening, so that I trust when ye come, it will make you some pastime.
So that they're saying the baby's alive still, and she's trying to encourage him. The baby's moving.
Oh,
so everything's.
Why did she just say that?
Because she's Old English.
So it took 3 sentences to say, "Dude, baby's alive."
Yes, that's right. That's where. Listen, just saying, Appalachians from that heritage, and we can't say anything too short.
God. Like, they didn't believe in bullet points back then.
I don't think so. No, they believed in beheadings. That's how the point was made.
What happened to a child. And there's nothing mysterious about it. It was death by talking. Mama was putting her to bed and trying to get her to go to sleep, and she's just like, dude, I'm out of here. You're talking to me, Mom.
Wouldn't you think that would probably make her go to sleep faster?
Okay.
So interestingly, along that line, the family history part, that's very cool.
Okay.
So let's see. There's a letter from a Miss Strickland that said, Paul Johnson, a gentleman of good family and estate, residing at his mansion at Fordwick in the county of Kent, also having another name, Nethercourt, in the Isle of Thanet, married Margaret Hayman, who was a baronet's family, who was part of a baronet's family. Their son, Silas Johnson, married the daughter of Sir Edward Bushel, who had married the only daughter of the Duke of Somerset's younger brother, Thomas Seymour, which was the daughter to Lord Seymour, the daughter Lord Seymour had with the Queen Catherine Parr. That's their family history. The above Sir Edward Bushel, who was the father of this son, I mean, that's how they got that's their family history story, that they got married. It's just really interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure.
So are you going to stick with your alien idea?
No, no, I
Okay,
frankly think that's really stupid.
I'll say my idea, and
Just
you
say
can
your
think
idea.
mine is
So how? What do you
crazy.
think happened to these two poor
So
girls?
I think there's more than just two in history.
Oh,
We just know about the ones that are most obvious because people write about famous people.
that
They
is
don't
true.
write about your regular people.
Okay,
So I think both of them disappeared. I don't
like
think they died.
vanished,
I
disappeared.
think they vanished, and here's why.
Okay,
I think that there is this history, this kind of secret agency that are like supernatural, that are constantly trying to find soulmates. And you only have one soulmate, right? Maybe you can have a second chance soulmate if your soulmate dies, but there's this primary soulmate. And so if your soulmate is born outside of your time period, how are you ever going to meet them? So they have to be placed back into your time period in careful ways early enough to where they don't remember that they're from a different time period. And so that's why all these stories came about babies being found in baskets and places. I think that's probably where Peter Pan, the whole story of Peter Pan came from, was it was one of those children that popped up somewhere. And you're like, where did this baby come from? And it's the soulmate thing. So this secret society have to snatch the babies from one time period to place them so they'll find their soulmates in another time period. And usually these young ladies are unique in some kind of way, maybe a little, otherworldly. Maybe they have special creative skills that aren't explained by their time period. They're forward thinkers, they're authors. They're artists. They may be the ladies who make advances because they think differently than the rest of everyone else. That's what I think
are you
happened.
trying to tell us something, Pepper?
And we have been placed. No, I'm too much like my mom to be able to say that. We may not have made it into that category, but I think there are people.
I find it so fun when we pull these things from history, how you try so hard to make them romantic.
I am determined. I'm determined, seriously. And
So
you with the psychopathic alien story, seriously? I mean,
a psychopath in every story. I mean, somebody's got to be the bad guy.
well,
Okay,
wouldn't you
so
think that maybe a child who had been taken from a different time period could turn into a psychopath if they remember
that's
anything
true.
and
That's
know
true.
they've been carried through time? What would that do
You
to
know,
you?
you
I
know.
mean,
I
seriously.
don't know. My idea was more simple. I mean, not the alien idea. But see, I'm thinking that, well, especially with Queen Catherine, we'll call her that,
Mhm.
her daughter, I think, was absconded by somebody in the family who
Oh,
wanted to protect her because of the royal traditions of slaughter and death. And I think what happened is this family member also had prearranged a marriage for little Mary.
well, we're not sure that she married the bushel guy either
Well,
because,
that's see. And so I'm thinking there's this prearranged marriage that somehow, and this is where my brain stops because I'm not a romance writer, but somehow ties her into the family of the Russian czars who eventually end the curse by being the last ones to disappear.
ooh,
I
ooh,
realize that we're talking hundreds of years difference between the
yeah,
Russian czars
sure.
and Mary Seymour, but
But
she started
everybody's
it.
so related
Started.
in that family,
It
right?
is. And
Everybody's so related in the royal family line.
it's that concept of generational curses. So once that
Mm.
curse was begun on Mary Seymour of the vanishing, it had to be brought to fruition. And it was finally culminated with the Russian Tsar and his family. And where did they go?
And how they were possibly very truly killed
Or
in
not?
a brutal way.
We don't know. Let's
Bones were
believe in the
found.
positive. What, we have completely switched on
I'm
this
just saying,
episode. I'm looking
I
for a
I
hope.
researched that family because I
Well,
was
I know. I've watched the
fascinated.
episodes too on what is it, the Histories channel, where they like are digging for bones out in the
But
forest.
there are royals who weren't found during that time
There are.
period or
Yes.
killed. So what that makes you wonder, though, excellent idea about this long-term curse. Love
See?
that idea.
See?
It does have a bit of romantic
Mm.
tinge to it, however, because most fairy tales have curses. And so, so and so I like this idea because royal families, a lot, the Tsar, the Russian family, the English family, all these families married into each other.
Right.
And so what if Mary started the curse
Okay.
or another family member started something else started way ahead because we haven't gone back any further than
No,
Mary.
no, we
And
haven't.
there's a lot of crazy history before that one. So if you guys, you listeners, find another disappearing child,
Ooh.
um,
Submit
and
your
want to,
disappearing child story too.
yes, we will talk. Maybe Mary didn't start the curse. Maybe
Maybe.
another royal family member did because there's a lot. There's Richard the Lionheart. There's all the strong female queens that happened a few centuries before. What,
What
what,
if?
what, what?
What
Okay,
if?
Jamie's getting excited, y'all.
Let's really twist the story into
Uh,
like romantic gone wrong.
Uh-oh.
What if there is somebody in this long lineage who falls in love with somebody else in this long lineage? Like they're far enough apart to like be cousins in love, like we're sixth,
Yeah, yeah.
fifth, seventh cousins, and it's not gross and weird. But they fall in love, but they know this curse exists. And they know they have to eliminate every last family member, ending with the Tsar and his family, so this curse will die, so that they can hope to successfully stay alive and then marry. So to be together, they have to kill.
So they're also so they've created a line of people who know the curse and
Mm-hmm.
are assigned
Mm-hmm.
assassins.
Yes.
we
Yes.
have just solved the Russian Revolution.
I know. And it all
What?
started because of two thwarted lovers.
Okay,
It's love gone bad.
so but what if a love gone right could fix the curse? I
And
mean,
love
that would
gone
mean
right
you don't have to
now?
kill anybody. But you have to find the right two to make it match. So what if Elizabeth II and Prince Philip or William and Kate soulmates were finally found and matched because clearly Charles and Diana were not. And so you only soulmates, when the two finally soulmates match, it breaks the curse. I like that idea better than killing off people, a secret society of assassins. Although it's very cool, Jamie.
No, I'm all for the secret society of assassins that, kill in hopes of maintaining their own romance, only to find it thwarted because the curse can't be killed. But, whatever. You can have a nice little story there with William and Kate.
Yeah, I think that soulmates right there.
So
We've seen them together,
maybe what
clearly.
happened is this all circles back and it comes back to Edgar and Jane.
Yes. One of them has to be related to the royal line.
On the beach, Jane's related to the royal line. Edgar's the American that comes and crashes it.
Yes.
And brings in the freedom, the American freedom
right.
from the curse.
But remember, they were a pair of soulmates had to get together and they weren't able to get together, right? So the curse couldn't be broken.
It
So you
couldn't. You know why? Because
Why?
years later, Einstein's daughter disappeared. Let's not forget about this poor little Italian baby.
That's right, 1903.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what happened to her?
I don't know.
Right?
Yes.
So we have invaders.
In the middle of this podcast, I was just given a note that was clandestine to me. It said, "Am I related to Pocahontas and Thomas Jefferson?" At which point I nodded and said, "Yes, you are." Apparently, they're having a genealogy war as to who's related to the most famous person.
Nice.
But back to Einstein's daughter. So what if Einstein's daughter Now, I'm not sure about decades and historical periods here, but what if Einstein's daughter really was the offspring of Edgar and Jane?
Oh, and they were covering for it?
And they're still trying to cover for this and the curse and the time travel. And so they drop, with your theory, this little bebe to Einstein's life because who better to figure it out than a genius?
Exactly. Who was socially inept. Perfect.
Socially inept. How did he ever
But you know
father
what?
a
Wait a
child?
second.
No,
Wait
let's
a
not go
second.
there.
Wait a second. Einstein, though, and the theory of relativity and all the space and time continuum stuff, wouldn't it be interesting if he's the one who figured out this
Yes.
this otherworldly matching soulmates thing and it's was so
See,
close to
people, here's my thought. People think history doesn't tie together. And they shortchange even the history books. It's shortchange. Like they separate things by national histories, right?
right.
And it's not that way. If you're a true conspiracy theorist, we are all tied together. And in
And
the
we
end,
connect the
I'm still
dots like
saying
nobody's
aliens.
business. I still like I really like the curse idea. I
The
really
curse idea,
like
yeah.
generational curse idea because I mean, what a neat thing to either through assassins
Right. Right.
or through some more fantastical idea of finding two soulmates that actually end the curse. Now,
Exactly.
if you are following your fairy tale stuff, Jamie,
Yeah.
curses usually end by a kiss or something
Mm.
very happy and wonderful like that.
And
So
thank you for joining us for episode number 3.
she's shutting me down, y'all. She's shutting me down. I'm causing her to not be able to handle her stuff.
I need to drink some anti-nausea medications while you continue. Go ahead.
True love's kiss.
I'm starting to like hear like little Disney songs playing in my mind. Yeah.
Twiddly birds.
I'm wishing
There you go.
for the
The
one
one I love. Okay, okay. I can only handle so much
who
of us
kill
doing.
me. I mean, wait to find me.
Uh-huh.
I always have to change the lyrics. Sorry. Oh, that's another episode. Disney romance has gone wrong.
That would be so fun. Oh my
Right?
word.
We'd probably get sued by Disney though, so let's not go there.
How would we get would we?
I don't know. You know, people just get offended by weird things nowadays, so
I know, it's just sad.
it
That's
is.
sad. We don't even have to create a conspiracy theory about that.
Anyway, back to the missing children.
No, but I think that's a pretty good start. I wonder what our readers, our listeners are going to think about
I don't know.
that and if they can find other missing people and the thing to find it, yeah, they have to be before the age of 5 because
Right.
again it won't fit the conspiracy. So the children have to be before the age of 5 and has to be enough uncertainty that you can't trace what really happened to them.
Mm.
And these two particular cases, we don't have enough data
No, we
to
don't.
show what happened. There's not enough.
Mm-mm.
There are not enough letters. There are not enough records to say what really happened to them. So that it has to be so obscure because otherwise it wouldn't fit.
Right.
It has to be obscure, which makes it fun.
You know, on a serious note though, consider literally dropping out of history.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, there's records that you're born and then nothing.
Mm-hmm. And it's even more curious when it's people who were notable
Right.
because I mean most of us, like I trace back my family history and there are thousands of people I'll never know what happened to them because they were just regular folk, right?
Right.
Now the ones I've been able to follow best are the ones who ended up being Lord somebody of the eighth something, you know, because he has like he has a Wikipedia page, you know.
Wow.
I know.
You should step it up there.
I know, right? Although I wouldn't be glad to. I am part of Mary Surratt, who helped house John Wilkes Booth, is one of my family members. So that's another way you can also find out It can be good or bad.
The things you don't want to know about your family.
Yeah. So, but if you guys are going to add to the conspiracy,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is
Right.
super fun,
Right.
and you get to decide which one you believe in. Is it going to be Jamie's assassin curse?
Yes.
No. Or is it going to be my soulmate curse? That has to be broken that way. You get to decide. That's so
Okay.
fun. You get to vote and bring any of the other ideas you have
Yeah.
because we love to hear them. I think next week we haven't really discussed next time we haven't really discussed what we're going to talk about, but we do have a cipher that's never been solved that we might talk about.
I think the Great Cipher Mystery is definitely the next on the list.
And it's an American one.
It
So
is
that makes it
American.
pretty fun.
And it involves treasure.
Yes.
So what more can you ask for in the next
And exactly. And if you guys have any other historical nuggets you are uncertain about or would like us to twist around and make
Right.
into aliens or all kinds of fun and exciting
Right. Right.
paranormal.
Right. And I haven't even brought in paranormal elements yet. So,
Although I did do this kind of outside time travel group of team that are dropping kids places.
well, that is true. That is true. But
So
hey, you know,
all fair game.
this was a great episode. Yes. Do you have any interesting historical odd
Let
facts
me
to leave
see
us
if
with?
I have a fact to leave you with. I'm
Because
looking
we did
through.
start that tradition, and again, this is a kind of our relaunch episode, so y'all are gonna have to be. See, now you're rubbing off on me. I'm saying y'all.
Yes.
Y'all are gonna have to be a little bit patient.
Well, I have heard that my kissing scenes are rubbing off on you too, so let's just
Yeah,
keep the
someone
trend.
said I was swoon worthy the other day.
Someone
to.
called Jamie's book, her newest one, what is it? Foxglove. What's the whole title?
On the cliffs of Foxglove Manor.
Uh-huh. They said that book had swoon-worthy kisses in it.
Well,
Yeah, yo. Oh yeah.
did you read it?
No, I'm reading it right now. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get through is knowing that there are swoon-worthy kisses in it. I have to make
So
it through the
since I
scary
did that
parts.
for you, will you in your next book kill someone?
I actually, in the book that's coming out next week, have killed a few people.
Oh,
so
see, we're good.
we'll even out. We'll even out that way. Okay, wait, let me see. Okay, so I had something pulled up. Robert Louis Stevenson isn't a household name, but you probably know him from his hit novel, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. What you probably don't know is that he wrote the novel on cocaine and then gave the novel to his wife for review. After his wife stated that the book was an allegory and that he should write it as such, Stevenson burned it so that he could force himself to write it according to his wife's feedback. Speaking of his wife, Fanny Osborne met Robert Louis Stevenson while she was in Paris. They fell in love and she became his muse. When Fanny had to return home to America, Stevenson saved up for 3 years to see her again so that they could be together. There you have it. You have both weird and romantic in one paragraph.
And on that note, thank you for joining Smooches and Stabs. We'll be back with another weird conspiracy theory episode where we take history and shake it up a bit.
Thank you all. Have a great day.